wait for something. Here it is. Oh my gosh, thank you, Grace and Kim. Awesome. You guys are so awesome. I wish you'd given me the memo because Robin and I, are matching. Anyway. So, some of you are thinking, I would love to earn excellence in recruiting, or I would just like to get my first recruit. And whenever I set a goal, I want to know exactly what I have to do to get there, right? Give me the steps and I'll do it. So what I'm going to do for you tonight is give you my steps that I do at every single show to get the results that I've gotten over the last few years. I feel like this is wrong everywhere. Is this good? There we go. All right. So here they are, my 5 simple steps to recruiting. The first one is to connect with every guest when they walk in the door. The second one is to share your story. I share my story at the start of every show. The third is I share my commission check, a check from one of my directors, and a check from a new consultant on my team. I also do the ticket activity every show, and I ask everyone if they'd like to try out the business during my checkout chat. Do that, and next year you could be the Circle of Honor Achiever.
All right.
That only took 60 seconds, and I got 10 minutes. So, you might be thinking to yourself, I do those 5 things. How many of you do those 5 things already? Right? But I'm not recruiting enough to earn an excellence award. Sometimes it's difficult to figure out what we are doing or aren't doing in our business that is keeping us from getting the results that we want. And here's the thing with recruiting. It's not just those 5 simple steps, because it's not just about what you do as much as it is how you do it. It's not about what you say as it is about how you say it. And I can really only think of one word that describes the way that I do these things and say these things at my shows, and it's passionately. How does Webster define passionately? Having, showing, or expressing strong emotion or belief. So before we talk about what passion looks like, let's talk about what passion does not look like. Passion is not obnoxious. Let me tell you a story about Katie. I met Katie last year in the airport on the way home from national conference. I couldn't find a seat at my gate, so I sat at the next gate over. And I found myself sitting with a group of men and women traveling together, and Katie was with them, with her husband. I forgot to bring those glasses up here. So one of Katie's friends noticed my Pampered Chef bag and asked, thank you, if I had any of the new products with me. And I told them, no, unfortunately, all the products were packed. Oh, yes. But I did have a catalog. So I pulled out and I gave it to them. Now, when I was young, my mom used to say that I was nosy, but I like to think that I was just inquisitive, and I like to learn about people. So I asked the group if they were headed home or if they were actually headed out on a trip. And that's when I found out about their mission trip that they had just completed and that they were headed home. Now, my husband and I had taken the mission trip and taken our whole family to India, so it was very easy for me to connect with them on that topic. And so we chatted about our experiences, our families, and all kinds of stuff. But every once in a while, someone would ask a question about Pampered Chef, or I would try to bring the conversation back to Pampered Chef. And Katie would jump in and start talking about the products. Now, her favorite product was the salad chopper. The salad chopper this, the salad chopper that, no, the salad chopper. So I finally looked at her and I said, Katie, why aren't you selling Pampered Chef? And she said, well, I sell, and she named another company, which will remain nameless. And she said, I'm not very good at it. And I said, well, Katie, do you talk about this company's products the same way that you're talking about the salad chopper? And before Katie could say a word, her husband said, no. So Katie had an epiphany. We exchanged contact information, set up an interview, and Katie joined my team. But here's the part that I want you to grasp. Katie had been approached by several, and I'm just going to say very excited consultants leaving national conference last year that wanted her to join their team. They gave their business cards, they took her information, but not a single person took time to find out anything about Katie and how Pampered Chef could help her. They knew nothing about her because it was all about them. And here's the second thing that passion is not. Passion is not self-centered. Think of it this way. When I see a movie or read a book or eat something amazing, like a crab cake, I share about it, and I want to do that because I want everybody else to have the same experience that I just had. It's all about them. Sharing about the business is offering something amazing to someone that could change their life, meet their needs, benefit them. Now, not everyone's going to choose that experience and that I'm sharing, and that's okay. But that leads me to the last thing that passion is not. Passion is not pushy. When someone tells me they aren't interested, I'm not going to nag them to death, begging them to join my team or to change their mind. But do I offer it to them the next time I see them at a show? Absolutely, because their situation could have changed since I saw them last. Do I follow up with them on a regular basis? You bet I do. If they've told me they're interested in learning more, I'm going to stay in contact with them until I get a firm no from them. But what about those people that just don't ever respond? You ever have that? How do you know when to leave them alone? Like, when are you about to cross that line into being pushy, or you're afraid of crossing that line? Well, here's a little phrase that I use when I've followed up twice and haven't received a response. So I'll either call, email, or text this message to them. Hey Jean, it's Stacy with Pampered Chef again. I don't want to be a nag, but I also don't want to drop the ball. Are you still interested in chatting with me to see if Pampered Chef would be a good fit for you? So if now isn't the best time for you, I understand. Just let me know so I don't get on your nerves. And if it's a text, I usually put a little LOL at the end of that. And 9 times out of 10, that's when they'll respond. So if passion, I don't know where I am in my slides now. Oh, it's not obnoxious, it's not self-centered, it's not pushy. There's the words. Okay, so if passion is showing...
No, that's okay. It's a video.
So if passion is showing strong emotion and belief, what is it that I believe in, and where does that passion come from? So my emotion and belief comes... Oh,
Sorry, I'm just getting my camera out.
I'll just leave it up there.
Okay, you're good.
Thank you.
You're good.
My emotion and belief comes from how Pampered Chef has changed my life and the life of my family. Now, I'm sure some of you have heard my story, but I just love to share it, so I'm going to do it again. I grew up in poverty. I mean, if you are in this area, I came from Brooklyn Park. Any hood girls with me tonight? Yeah, there's one right back there. We know. So we were a welfare family that received WIC, free breakfast, free lunch at school. My mom shopped with food stamps, and my dad would stand in bread and cheese lines when the state was handing out free food. The whole 9 yards. We were so poor that my mom couldn't even afford toilet paper. So you should send me into McDonald's to get napkins. My husband and I married very young, and I was a stay-at-home mom. And although we could afford toilet paper, we struggled a lot. My 20-year-old daughter was telling her younger brother just the other day how I would take her and her older brother to Chuck E. Cheese when they were little. Now this was back before it was nothing but a bunch of games that cost money to play, back when they used to have the ball pit and the tubes and everything that they could climb through. And they could do that all for free. I couldn't afford to buy my kids pizza while we were there, so I would pack peanut butter and jelly sandwiches so they would have something to eat after they were finished playing. We only had one vehicle, no cell phone when everybody else had one, no computer, and we ate a whole lot of hamburger helper. We didn't vacation, we didn't have a savings account, much less a retirement account, but we sure had a whole lot of debt. Maybe some of you are living like this right now. Maybe you're struggling to make ends meet. Maybe you almost didn't come tonight because even spending the gas money was going to hurt your checkbook. But something inside of you said go. You need to be there. I have passion for this business because within 6 short months of joining Pampered Chef, I completely paid off all of our credit card debt. I have passion for this business because it's flexible, and I've been able to be a stay-at-home mom with my 5 children and work as much or little as I want, but more importantly, when I want to do it. I have passion because I've been able to pay cash for braces, cars, remodeling projects around our home, private school tuition, college tuition, mission trips, and more. I have passion because I don't take my kids to Chuck E. Cheese anymore. I take them to Disney World and Disneyland for free. I have passion because 3 years ago we adopted a little girl, and I paid cash for the entire adoption, no loans whatsoever. I have passion for this business because some of my very best friends in the whole world are sitting in this room tonight, from all across the country, and I would never have had the blessing of having them in my life if it were not for the Pampered Chef. So what do I believe? I believe this business changes lives. I believe it makes things possible for you and for your family that you can't even dream about right now. I believe you can wipe out your debt. I believe that any person can find success. It does not matter what size you are, how you're shaped, what color you are, how old you are, how young you are, where you came from, or if you've never cooked a day in your life. I believe there is absolutely no risk in trying it. If you scrape together your last pennies to buy that new consultant kit, you have a kitchen full of top-of-the-line products that are going to save you time, and you have access to simple, delicious, inexpensive recipes for your family. You do not have to live off of Hamburger Helper. I believe that there are many ways to do parties, and you just need to find the way that works best for you. Presentation style, station style, traditional, virtual parties, freezer no workshop, it all works. I believe that right now, tonight, is the very best time to be a part of this company. Be a part of our growth. It's the very best gift that you can share with anyone or you can give yourself tonight. I believe that Pampered Chef is the very best direct selling company in the USA. We are a ground floor company again with 36 years of brand recognition and experience. How are you sharing the business opportunity at your shows? What does your passion look like? Do you know what you believe? Can your guests feel your emotion? Because you just can't help but light up when you share what this business is doing for you, and more importantly, what it could do for them. Recently, I asked a few consultants on my team this question. What was it that I did or said at the show that made you decide to give this business a try? And here are some of their answers. Here we go. It was your passion and energy for it. You spoke so positively and passionately about the company and the product. You showed a strong belief in the success of your team and your dedication to it. I wanted to be a part of that. Your whole outlook when selling Pampered Chef. I could tell you really loved your job. I think what really caught my attention was how much fun you were having while showing the products and making the food. It wasn't a show, it was passion. Are your customers seeing that at your shows? My challenge to you is if you aren't having consultants join your team on a regular basis, take some time to think about what this company has done for you and your family. How has it changed your life? What do you believe it can do for you in the future? Passion comes from belief, so even if you aren't where you want to be yet, believe that you will be, and that emotion and passion is going to come through. So back to the 5 simple steps. There we go. Connect when the guests arrive. Talk to them. Get to know them. Ask them questions. Maybe it's when they arrive in your show on Facebook. When you know what their life is like, you can share how this business can meet some of their needs. This is what helps to make it about them and not about you. Share your story. It only takes about 2 minutes, but it's so important. This is how your guests relate to you. What was your life like prior to Pampered Chef? What were you looking for from the business? What were you nervous about before starting? And what gave you the courage to try it anyway? How is your life better? And what are your goals for the future? Then show them the money. Always show your commission checks. I always show my very first commission check. I did 2 cooking shows and 1 catalog show, and my commission was $405.22. And then I like to show my most recent check, which is usually somewhere between 8 to 9 cooking shows, and usually somewhere between $9,000 and $10,000. Now, if you don't have one that big, ask your upline for a copy of theirs. Show all kinds of checks. What does a check look like from someone that's doing all virtual parties? How about a new consultant on your team or a director on your team? Fourth, give the guests the opportunity to ask you some questions. So the ticket activity is what I prefer, but there are all kinds of options out there, like stealing hearts. And it just gives you the opportunity to share a little more information than just your story. Now, when someone asks you a question, answer it with passion, and I always give them a little bit more than they ask for. So if someone asks me how much it costs to get started, my answer might sound like this. You know, we have 3 incredible kit options, and here's the best part. Those products are yours forever. There is no Pampered Chef police that ever comes to your door and takes anything back. So try this business for 30 days. I'm not gonna ask you to marry me tonight, just date me for a month. Try one party a week. You'll have a kitchen full of products and a pocket full of cash. And then 5, ask everyone, why wouldn't you? We don't know what's going on in their life. We don't know what's keeping them awake at night that they are stressing over. We don't know if they are lonely or just want something of their own to be passionate about. How selfish of us to assume that they wouldn't want to be a part of something like this, something that could change their life, and how rude of us to assume that we would know what they want or don't want. So in closing, I'm going to share a little story with you. And I'm actually a little embarrassed to share it, but I'm going to do it anyway. My mom lives in Florida and is struggling financially right now. And earlier this spring, my oldest son graduated from college. I didn't invite my mom to come up for the 2-hour ceremony because we weren't having a party or anything, and he was leaving for Jerusalem the next day. And I didn't want her to feel obligated to spend the money for the flights. A few days later, I received this text message from her. I've been meaning to ask, is there a reason, that could make me cry, is there a reason I didn't receive an invitation to AJ's graduation? When I saw the pictures on Facebook, I couldn't help but feel left out. To which I replied, I didn't think you would want to spend the money to fly up for the 2-hour ceremony, and I didn't want you to feel obligated. Her reply was one that I'll never forget, and I hope you won't either. If I were invited, then at least the decision would have been mine. I'm embarrassed that I have that story to tell, but the lesson I learned from it will impact me forever in all areas of my life. And I hope you'll remember that story the next time you think you already know the answer to the question.